The illegals program was Russia's deepest American infiltration. This theory claims the SVR planted at least 10 deep cover agents across suburban America for over a decade. These operatives assumed stolen identities, married, raised children, and built ordinary lives. They worked as real estate agents, consultants, and journalists. Moscow trained them for years in language, tradecraft, and American culture before deployment. The agents communicated through encrypted messages, brush passes, and dead drops across the East Coast. The FBI discovered the network around 2000 and watched it for 10 years before making arrests. Declassified court documents reveal the operation cost Russia millions in funding, logistics, and support. The illegals program represents the largest Russian spy ring uncovered on American soil since the Cold War. Anna Chapman was the spy ring's most visible operative. This theory argues Chapman served as both intelligence collector and social infiltrator in Manhattan's elite circles. She ran a real estate business as cover and attended high-profile networking events. Chapman met with a Russian handler weekly at coffee shops and bookstores. She used private wireless networks to transmit data to a Russian government van parked nearby. The FBI caught her on surveillance accepting a fake passport from an undercover agent posing as a Russian consular official. He pleaded guilty and was deported in the 2010 spy swap. Chapman became a celebrity in Russia, hosting a television show and modeling for magazines too. The theory paints Chapman as Moscow's experiment in using glamour as tradecraft. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to start posting a lot here. Thanks. Anyways, Operation Ghost Stories tracked the spy ring for a decade. This theory claims the FBI ran one of its longest and most complex counterintelligence operations in history. Agents surveilled the suspects across multiple states using wiretaps, hidden cameras, and physical tailing teams. They monitored encrypted shortwave radio transmissions sent from Moscow Center. FBI technicians broke into the spies' homes to copy hard drives and plant listening devices. The Bureau tracked buried cash drops in upstate New York and dead drops in public parks. Court filings reveal the FBI even decoded steganographic messages hidden inside ordinary website images. The operation involved hundreds of agents, translators, and analysts working around the clock. Ghost Stories proves the FBI can match any foreign intelligence service in patience and precision. A Russian double agent betrayed the entire spy ring. This theory suggests Colonel Alexander Puteyev, a senior SVR officer, secretly worked for the CIA and exposed the illegals program. Puteyev had access to names, locations, and cover identities of every operative in America. He reportedly fed information to American intelligence for over a decade before fleeing Russia. Moscow convicted him of treason in absentia and sentenced him to 25 years. Former agents claim Puteyev's defection represents one of the most damaging intelligence leaks in Russian history. His betrayal collapsed an operation that took Moscow decades to build. Russian media reported Puteyev died in 2016 under mysterious circumstances. The theory frames Puteyev as the single point of failure in Russia's most ambitious espionage program. The spy ring hid messages inside ordinary website images. This theory claims the Russian operatives used steganography to embed encrypted intelligence inside publicly accessible photographs online. The agents posted images to routine websites that contained hidden data readable only with specialized software. FBI analysts discovered the technique after seizing laptops from the suspects' homes. The messages contained instructions from Moscow Center, meeting schedules, and payment details. Some communications used radiograms, shortwave radio bursts transmitted on set frequencies at predetermined times. The spies also used ad hoc wireless networks to exchange data with handlers driving past in vehicles. Declassified documents reveal the SVR combined Cold War-era radio tradecraft with modern digital concealment methods. The theory argues this blend of old and new tradecraft nearly made the ring undetectable. Richard and Cynthia Murphy built a perfect suburban disguise. This theory argues the couple, whose real names were Vladimir and Lydia Gurdjieff, lived for years in Montclair, New Jersey as ordinary American parents. They owned a home, paid taxes, and sent their 2 daughters to local schools. Richard worked as a financial consultant, and Cynthia earned a master's degree from Columbia University. Their neighbors described them as quiet, friendly, and completely unremarkable. The Murphys collected intelligence on economic policy, gold markets, and political trends for Moscow. Their daughters had no idea their parents were Russian citizens or intelligence operatives. The arrest shattered the family overnight. The theory paints the Murphys as proof that deep cover espionage destroys the lives it hides behind. The 2010 spy swap was the largest since the Cold War. This theory claims the exchange of 10 Russian agents for 4 Western assets reshaped modern espionage diplomacy. The swap took place on the tarmac of Vienna International Airport just 12 days after the arrests. Russia received all 10 illegals, including Anna Chapman and the Murphys. The United States received 4 prisoners convicted of spying for Western agencies, including Sergei Skripal. The deal was negotiated directly between the CIA and SVR at the highest levels. Both governments wanted the situation resolved before it damaged the diplomatic reset between Obama and Medvedev. The speed of the exchange stunned intelligence analysts worldwide. The theory argues the swap revealed that spy networks are chess pieces, not people. Donald Heathfield stole a dead Canadian's identity from Moscow. This theory claims Heathfield, real name Andrei Bezrukov, used the identity of a Canadian who died as an infant in 1963. He married fellow operative Tracy Foley, and they raised two sons in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Heathfield earned a master's degree from Harvard's Kennedy School and worked as a strategy consultant. He targeted contacts in nuclear weapons policy, government research, and emerging technology. His sons grew up speaking English and had no knowledge of their parents' true nationality or mission. Even their birth certificates were fabricated by Russian intelligence. Foley worked as a real estate agent while managing communications with Moscow Center 2. The theory argues the couple's case shows how deep cover agents permanently erase their own identities. Directorate S trained the spies to become Americans. This theory claims Russia's clandestine branch spent years preparing each operative to live undetected in the United States. Recruits studied American slang, pop culture, and social customs at a secret facility outside Moscow. They practiced building credit histories, opening bank accounts, and filing taxes. Some operatives adopted the identities of deceased foreigners from Canada, South America, and Europe. Training included encrypted communications, brush passes, and counter-surveillance techniques. The agents were expected to blend in so completely that even close friends would never suspect them. Declassified documents reveal Directorate S operated like a parallel foreign service with its own budget and chain of command. The theory frames the program as Russia's most patient investment in human deception. Christopher Metsos vanished before the FBI could close in. This theory claims Metsos served as the primary handler and paymaster for the entire Russian spy ring across North America. He coordinated dead drops, delivered cash, and relayed classified instructions from Moscow Center to field operatives. Metsos was arrested in Cyprus in June 2010, alongside the other suspects in the network. He posted bail and disappeared from the island before extradition proceedings could begin. Cypriot authorities confirmed he left the country using unknown travel documentation. Former agents claim Metsos likely received emergency extraction support from Russian intelligence assets already in the region. His escape route, timing, and forged documents suggest a pre-planned contingency operation. The theory argues Metsos remains the spy ring's most dangerous unsolved chapter. The spies' children had no idea their parents were Russian. This theory claims the operatives' American-born children lived entirely fabricated lives without their knowledge or consent. The Murphy daughters attended school in New Jersey, had American friends, and spoke no Russian. The Heathfield Foley sons grew up in Boston believing they were Canadian-American. When the FBI arrested their parents in June 2010, the children learned their names, nationalities, and family histories were all false. Some children chose to remain in the United States rather than follow their parents to Russia. Others moved to Moscow and struggled to learn the language of the country they were technically citizens of. The arrest severed families along national lines. The theory paints the children as the operation's most permanent casualties. Juan Lazaro lived as a Peruvian professor while spying for Moscow. This theory claims Lazaro, born Mikhail Vasenkov, spent decades undercover in New York, posing as a Latin American academic. He taught at Baruch College while collecting intelligence on U.S. foreign policy toward Latin America. His wife, Vicky Peláez, was a columnist for a Spanish-language newspaper in New York. Peláez was not a trained intelligence officer, but knowingly assisted Lazaro in passing information to Russian handlers. The couple received payments buried in parks and delivered reports through dead drops. Lazaro maintained his cover for longer than any other operative in the ring. Even colleagues at the university never questioned his background. The theory argues Lazaro's case proves long-term cover identities become indistinguishable from reality. The spy ring buried tens of thousands of dollars in upstate New York. This theory claims Moscow Center funded the operatives through buried cash drops in parks, forests, and rural areas. Agents received instructions via coded radio messages directing them to specific GPS coordinates. They dug up waterproof containers filled with U.S. currency, sometimes tens of thousands at a time. The FBI filmed multiple cash retrievals using hidden surveillance cameras positioned near known drop sites. Some payments passed through brush contacts in crowded spaces like train stations and shopping centers. The operatives used the funds for rent, tuition, and maintaining their cover identities. Moscow never wired money directly to avoid triggering financial surveillance systems. The theory argues buried cash kept the spy ring invisible to modern banking oversight. The arrests nearly destroyed the Obama-Medvedev diplomatic reset. This theory claims the FBI timed the June 2010 arrest to coincide with a period of heightened U.S.-Russia engagement. President Obama and President Medvedev had just shared burgers at a Washington restaurant days before the arrests. The diplomatic reset aimed to improve relations on nuclear arms, trade, and counterterrorism cooperation. Senior administration officials reportedly pressured the FBI to delay the operation to protect diplomatic progress. The Bureau insisted the arrests proceed after learning one operative was preparing to leave the country. The Kremlin initially denied knowledge of the spy ring, or quietly negotiating the swap. Both governments treated the affair as an intelligence matter rather than a diplomatic crisis. The theory argues espionage and diplomacy operate on parallel tracks that rarely intersect publicly. The spy ring gathered surprisingly little actionable intelligence. This theory argues the illegals spent over a decade in America, but produced minimal classified information for Moscow. They collected open-source policy analysis, academic papers, and public political commentary. None of the operatives obtained security clearances or accessed classified government systems. Their reports focused on political trends, economic forecasts, and social attitudes rather than state secrets. The FBI noted the ring's intelligence product was largely available through newspapers, think tanks, and public databases. Moscow Center still rated the operation as valuable for providing ground-level perspective on American policy thinking. Former agents claim the ring's true purpose was spotting and developing future recruitment targets. The theory argues the operation's real failure was strategic, not tactical. Sergei Skripal's freedom cost Russia its entire spy ring. This theory claims Skripal, a former GRU officer, was exchanged for the 10 illegals in the 2010 Vienna swap. He had secretly worked for British intelligence and served prison time for treason. The swap gave him a new life in Salisbury, England. 8 years later, Russian agents poisoned Skripal and his daughter with Novichok nerve agent on British soil. The attack triggered a diplomatic crisis, with dozens of countries expelling Russian diplomats. British investigators identified the assassins as GRU officers traveling under aliases. The poisoning linked the swap directly to an act of chemical warfare in Europe. The theory argues spy swaps do not end the game, they change the board. Moscow Center ran the spy ring through encrypted layers. This theory claims SVR headquarters managed every detail of the operatives' lives, from assignments and finances to family cover stories. Handlers sent coded shortwave bursts on set frequencies that agents decoded with one-time pads. Instructions also arrived through steganographic images on public websites. Case officers at the Russian UN mission met agents during choreographed brush passes on New York sidewalks. The chain of command ran from operatives through handlers to senior SVR leadership in Moscow. Each layer used separate communication methods to prevent one breach from exposing the full network. Declassified documents confirm this structure mirrored Cold War protocols, updated for the digital age. The theory argues Moscow built a system designed to survive the exact breach that destroyed it. The spy ring's exposure did not stop Russian espionage in America. This theory claims the illegals program was one node in a larger SVR infrastructure still operating across the West. U.S. intelligence officials have stated publicly that Russian deep cover operations persist in multiple countries. New operatives likely replaced those arrested in 2010 using updated tradecraft and digital tools. The FBI's counterintelligence division has expanded significantly since the Ghost Stories arrests. Russia continues training illegals at facilities outside Moscow using methods refined over decades. Even the exposure of 10 agents did not deter the SVR from running long-term penetration programs. The case reshaped how Western agencies screen for foreign intelligence threats in civilian life. The theory argues the illegals program was not an anomaly but a permanent feature of Russian intelligence strategy. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe.